The Elvis, let us.
Right, good evening, ladies and
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome again to the debate. And today we are having some difficulties with our moderator. And these are the challenges that we are facing right back from Africa and working with those that are in Africa. But the show must go on, and that's why we are here. We appreciate you all for joining the debate. And the question of today is again, what do you really know about the debate? We are having very, very excited guests today. Amongst them, also, of course, we have the Honorable that is with us. We are very excited to have the Honorable. We're welcoming Mr. Host. If everything is very well, Mr. Host, can you continue the debate? So we are going to continue the debate. The challenge we are having with the internet is really serious, but that's the challenges that we are having and we are facing when we are working with the international community and especially with our continent. And today we are having very, very dynamic person. We are having Honorable Kenneth Gbandi, who is going to be giving us the appraisal of the conversation of today. Aspiration number one points to shared growth, decent jobs, and economic opportunities for all. And the question will be, how can modernized agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation help achieve this goal? And of course, we're going to be having also Irene, Marcaulay, and Marlene Atieno. I'm going to call on our very special guest who will be giving us the rehearsal of the conversation, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Honorable, you're welcome to our debate. You've
Thank you so much.
experience the challenge that we are having right now. Our host is still working to come up, and the challenge between Africa and here, and of course, the network crisis. I hope that he's going to be able to manage the crisis of the network and that we can continue the conversation. But, Honorable, we are staying on time, and that's why we are continuing the program. And the conversation today is aspiration number one points to shared growth, decent jobs, and economic opportunities for all. And the question that we are having today is, how can modernized agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation help achieve this goal? Doctor, tell us a little bit more about yourself and give us a rehearsal of the conversation. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much, Madam Vera, if I'm allowed to call you that. I will start by saying thank you for all the wonderful things you're doing in Germany. We appreciate you. We appreciate your zeal. And you've been a very big inspiration to all of us. So I am very, very much glad and happy to be on your program. I also want
Thank you.
to extend my greetings to all the panelists who will be, sharing ideas on the topic in question. Um, I would just want to encourage us not to worry about the technical difficulties. These are also part of the challenges we are facing in our continent, where we looking at the science and technology, how we can have a broadband services so that we can also be able to enjoy the facilities we're enjoying in advanced countries, or at least in the place where we're living. By the way of introduction, Kenneth Gbandi is my name. I'm from Nigeria. I've been roughly about 25 years in Germany. Within this time, I was able to establish the first African uh, infotainment magazine, the second African Afro-European magazine in the history of Germany since 12 years now. I also was able to, organize a certain events that has to promote the interest of Africans, like Miss Nigeria, Miss Africa. Basically, I was into also community organization, where I also was one time the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Organization, Germany. Later, I was in the integration bureau from Hamburg Senate, where I represent the African community. Eventually, I went to Nido Europe. I was the continental chairman for Nido Europe for 4 years, where I oversee a big tile of the biggest Nigerian diaspora network in the continent of Europe. So within this time, we've been able to interact with various stakeholders. Of course, the basic focus of NIDO, for most people who are not familiar with the Nigerian Diaspora Organization Europe, is about homeland development. And the homeland development is basically asking the question, what can we do as diasporan, to effect effective homeland development in our respective African countries? And that's why I found this the aspiration number one, the point to share growth and decent job and economic opportunities for all. How can we modernize agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation helps to achieve this goal? Um, the world we know today is going um, science driven, so to say. And when you look at Africa as a continent, one realizes that the population of the young Africans are very, very high compared to European or American society, where we have the age, much advanced in age. That means basically that Africa is in they have in they are youthful, they are in a youthful stage, so to say, if one has to put it from that perspective. And we know the generation we are today, actually internet generation or the IT generation. We're actually in a digital generation. What we are doing today, the Zoom we are doing today, the debate we are doing today is possible via Zoom. And that's how that means that there is a need for us to invest in the young generation in Africa. And that is why every hand, every opportunity we have, to look towards the younger generation is going to be something that is worth doing. Now, um, agriculture. We have seen that in the past. My view, because of the modern ways of things, because of new white collar jobs, a lot of people want to migrate to the cities where they want to go to university, which is also good, graduating, but the Africans, let me take Nigeria for example. We are turning out a lot of graduates, we're turning out a lot of young people, but the question is, which company will absorb these young people? um, we need to think beyond the didactic form of education that we inherited from our colonial masters, where we have to go to university, graduate, you read science, you read computer engineering, without even having the opportunity to practice this. So we have to have a balanced society, in my view, where yes, at one side we should pursue technology, but at the other side we should also adapt those technology to be relevant to our people. And agriculture is one of the areas I think we need to look into. I mean, there are so many ways of carrying out a modern agricultural system. I kept asking the question, how come in Nigeria, a population of over 200 million people with a very dynamic age, that a Chinese will come from China, set up a farming system in Nigeria, become a major producer of agricultural products in Nigeria, export it back to China, employ Nigerian youth, and the same amount that these Chinese are using to establish agricultural system in Nigeria, our youths are selling, land, selling their properties, their parents' properties to travel to Europe. And where they get actually, deported if they are lucky to make it across the sea. So we need to begin to think about how can we apply, modern technology, to agricultural system. What are the new forms of agricultural system that we need to adapt into our continent to be sure that we kept the youths, not only traveling out from Africa to risky journeys across Europe, but begin to see the potentials around them. And these are the things we we basically need to challenge ourselves in Africa, to begin to see how can science and technology, not for the sake of just graduating from one, top universities and, being an engineer that cannot actually, dissect what it is in an in a car that we inherited, or some of the machineries we inherited. So yes, we know that without a job, without a decent job, according to what Germans will say, you are not really self-fulfilled if you don't have a decent job. And to have a decent job, one will have to look at what are the potentials that the environment have to offer. I am very, very, convinced that once we begin to look into how can we, have science and technology, how can we have innovation, not only for the sake of innovation, but how can these innovations be relevant, to day-to-day living in Africa. And I think, like I said, agriculture is one of the areas where we can virtually focus to see exactly how science and technology can help promote that. Of course, like I said, IT is important, internet age is important, but of course, science should be, human oriented. Science should be, productive oriented. That at the end of the day, we should be able to, to focus on the major things that are very, very important for us. So I think I will probably, leave it at that, and hope that the group of panelists will probably, lead us into detailed, how we can focus, how we can look inwards, and that. And of course, I'll be available. I'll be standby if there are any specific questions in this direction, and so we can be able to go into details into that. Moderator, I probably touch the areas you expected, but like I said, I'm on the standby to answer more questions if there's any need for that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kenneth. We are very privileged to have you. And you said a number of things. I'm seeing Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, I'm handing over to you. Is that okay now? So we see Mr. Moderator is still there, but he has some challenges with the internet. And that's why we have to always be having assistants to assist us in our jobs. Thank you very much, Dr. Honorable, or the Honorable Kenneth. We are going to come back to you. You mentioned a whole lot of things, and the fact that the youthful population is a strong resource in our continent, and that we should be able to create possibilities for these young people, and that it's important. Science is important, IT is also very important, but the sector of agriculture is as well very important. And we discover that many young people are migrating from the rural areas maybe to the cities, and what still we are seeing young people selling their lands, their properties to the Chinese, I put it in quote, and to come to Europe, and which is really devastating for our young people and for the continent. I'm very glad that you're staying by and staying by for the discussion. So I'm going to call on other panelists so that we can have the conversation together, hoping that the moderator is still going to be able to show up. I'm calling on Irene Mokele. Irene, thank you so very much, Irene, for sharing your time with us. Thank you very much. Because Irene also has an agriculture and is in the business of agriculture, provides food enormous for the country. I'm so proud and so happy for the amazing job that you're doing. But like usual, I don't talk about the people. I leave the people talk about themselves. Hey, ma'am, Irene, this is your platform. Tell us more about yourself and the work you do. And remember, the conversation today is exactly on what you're doing, agriculture, as maybe a source of job opportunities.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Madam Vera. Always a privilege. Always a privilege. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful job you are doing. And my name is Irene Marcaulay. I am the CEO of AfriFarms. AfriFarms, we call it AfriFarms and AfriFarms Group. AfriFarms Group, we have other activities or other services we are offering or we are serving the community. So AfriFarm is an agri-business company, and we are into the business of agriculture. And we work with farmers, we work with cooperative, we help them produce more. We provide them with training, sustainable agricultural training. We also provide them with agri credit, agri financing, and market. And we also, of course, have our own farms. So we are in the business of agriculture, and we are working with farmers, we're working with suppliers, with consumers, and all of this. And we are creating jobs also in this sector. And agriculture is a chain. We have been limited only at the level of production, but then we are bringing the change into agriculture. We are taking farmers and agri-business people all through the chains of agriculture. And in every chain, there are job creation potentials. And that is what we are doing. Also into the Afri-Farms credit. This has to do with financing businesses, giving business support, financial support to small and medium-sized businesses. So we are a group. Afri-Farms group has to do with working with farmers, and the credit union has to do with financing businesses. So thanks again once more for having me in your platform.
Thank you very much. I'm going to put you all now on board, and we are also having, of course, Marlene. And I hope that, Marlene, your internet is doing well. Marlene, please, you have to introduce yourself. Tell us a little more about yourself so that we can have the conversation now rolling. This is your platform. Also, tell us a little more about yourself.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Marleen Atieno from Kenya. I work with Africa for SDGs. It's a youth-based organization which we are advocating and championing for the achievement of the SDGs. We're doing different projects on different SDGs. Our main focus has been on ESD, which is Education for Sustainable Development. So that one, we are incorporating the education system with the SDGs and just training the school kids on the school-going kids on how you can incorporate and come up with the innovations around SDGs and implementation. Also, we work with churches. So we have a holistic approach to achieving the SDGs. So we also work with the churches where we train them on how they can come up with projects that lead to the achievement of the SDGs. Also, we encourage young people to get into farming, especially smart farming and urban farming. So we are encouraging young people on how they can use the small spaces that they have to ensure that they get into farming and see the value that farming has, regardless of whether you come from rural or urban. So that's just brief about what we do and who I am. Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your presence. We're going to dive straight to the question. Again, for those who are listening to us, you're all welcome to the debate. And we took up the challenge to have this conversation about the debate and especially about the Agenda 2063, because we realized that very few people were really on this agenda. And of course, even though many people are working towards this agenda, many were working unconsciously. So we decided to popularize the agenda. And of course, who else should do it if not us? And that's why we're very privileged to have you. And the topic of today, for those who are just joining us, is on Aspiration 1, which points to shared growth, decent jobs, and economic opportunities for all. How can modernized agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation help to achieve this goal? And my first question would be to our honorable, who gave us a brilliant insight, of course, about the youth population and the importance of agriculture. Honorable, my question to you is, what can be the economic opportunities for the continent like Africa, looking at our realities, looking at the realities that we are having at hand? Look at, even the moderator was supposed to be here. That's again IT, that's in technology. Looking at the realities we have at hand, are there any economic opportunities for young people?
Yes. Population is an economic opportunity. Um, every country is looking forward to their youth, which is the workforce. And then just take for example, in Nigeria, with a population of 200 million people, over 200 million people, you just need to think out to sell a product for just 1 naira. Let me convert the naira for, let's say equivalent of 1 naira is $1, just for a sake of discussion. Imagine you selling a product for $1 in Nigeria, and you are able to tap into just a 0.00% of 200 million people. And that is why you can become a millionaire overnight. And a lot of people are actually tapping into that. So what am I trying to say? That the population we have in Africa, the young dynamic population we have in Africa, is enough opportunity on its own. And if you look at our two distinguished sisters who are into agriculture, again, if you go to Lagos State today, if you go to certain part of Nigeria, a lot of youths are going into fish farming. In fact, if you go to most of the surroundings around Abuja, around the major cities, every evening you see people sitting outside, they eating outside, because these young youths, they have a fish farm where they supply every evening into this location. I will tell you, you get there in the evening, and before you leave that place, the fish are exhausted. And they do that every day. So agriculture in Africa is, as far as I'm concerned, is a huge potential where our youth can engage in. Again, like you said, your topic was well selected. How can we adopt technology and to
Yes.
make sure that that's going to be a challenge. Like I said, the potentials are there. Having a young population is enough potential. Having the market is a potential, and having also, our youth are very dynamic. It will surprise everybody to know that an average African, especially, let me take Nigeria for example, because of lack of, so that people will not query me for my statistics, but an average Nigerian spend much more on data than an average German or an average European, which means
True.
the penetration. I mean, Kenya has the highest penetration of network in the whole of the world, and that shows you that our youths are really really open to IT, and they're using also the IT to do a lot of things. Today in Nigeria, I've been in Germany for 25 years. It just only last year that they started what we call Echt Supervisor, which means real-time transfer. Before now, Nigeria started real-time transfer years ago, and I'm sure that Kenya was also started that. That you made a transfer today, within minutes, the money is in the other account, no matter wherever
Yes.
it is. And so we have the technology. At least with the little we have, we can manage that, and we have a young population, we have a dynamic population. There are potentials in Africa, and that's why I'm happy that we have this free African trade zone. Because if we have to trade within Africa, among Africans, we have a lot of market, we have a lot of product that we can interchange within the continent, and the sky is our limit. I am quite hopeful about the African future, to be honest with you.
Thank you very much for putting that hope again in me. I'm very excited about this conversation. But I'm going to go to Irene now, because Irene, you're in the business of agriculture. And seeing up to now, that's my personal experience or my personal feeling. I don't know how true is that, because we really have to be careful when we don't have the data. Ma'am Irene, tell us, how lucrative is the agriculture business? Can we say this business of agriculture lucrative enough to give jobs to our young people? And if yes, how can we encourage our young people to start getting into that area?
Thank you once more. I would say yes, it's very lucrative. First of all, it's very cost effective. To start an agricultural business or to start a farm is very cost effective. It's one of the cheapest business to start. Anybody can start it. So that's the first thing I would say. It's very cost effective and is the easiest and cheapest business to start with. Secondly, if you add a little value on the product, like preservation, I know nowadays we are in the discussion of processing as not being too healthy, but let me use the word preservation, because we need to preserve food if we want to secure food. If we are talking about food security, so we also need food preservation. So if you add a little value on the product, then you increase the chances of making more money. And this, at the level of preservation and packaging, is where we are lacking behind. And I think that is what we are also working on as a company or as a cooperative, to help farmers at the level of preservation and packaging. Because our objective is food security. And while securing food, also making money. And how do we secure food? More production, preservation, and packaging. So yes, to answer your question, agriculture is very lucrative because it's easy to start and it doesn't need a lot of potential. Anybody can start it. And from there, you add the value chain. Why adding the value chain? Upon each value chain added, there is more profit to it. So in that respect, it's very lucrative.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go directly to Marlene, because Marlene, you're working with the SDG, and we are concentrating with the Agenda 2063. But of course, we have been working too with the Agenda 2030. My question to you, that's a question from one of our viewers. How do we make the youth aware of these potentials? Any of you can answer. Marlene will answer, and then any of you can add your taste and your Maggie to it, right?
Okay. Thank you. So let me just make sure I get the question right. So they want to know, like, how do they tap to the opportunities in? I didn't get that clear. Oh, in agriculture. Okay, thank you. So our focus as Africa for SDGs, as an initiative, we've been working with young people. So we've been encouraging young people, especially in urban areas, who are interested to get in farming, but the only thing they lack is a piece of land. So we've been trying to give them alternative ways of doing farming. So we have hanging gardens where we do farming on plastic bottles, and you can just hang them around your compound or even on the walls. So that's another approach. And then we're just trying to show them, like, if you have a small piece of land and you sell what you get from the land, how much can you make from that piece of land? So we're just trying to show them also the economics around it, because you can do farming, but you're not getting anything from farming. So we are also just advocating and also training young people on, you look at the economics of farming. If you ensure that whatever you're doing, you're able to quantify it and know that if I do farming in this piece of land, then I can get 1,000 shillings, for example. So also just showing young people on what other people have done with their small pieces of land and how much they make. Is just also encourage them to get into farming and also to just tap on the opportunities that are there, because in the urban area, most of the time you spend all your money on food. But if you can give an alternative, like you can just plant on your balcony, use your plastic bottles, then we are solving a couple of things while you're also getting your food and also on nutrition. So that has been our approach. And also smart farming. So as much as you do vegetables and all that, also you can plant herbs. So we've just tried to incorporate the various ways of showing young people that you can do farming regardless of whether you're in rural or urban, and just see the massive opportunity around farming. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Ma'am Irene, you wanted to say something. I saw your face. It's like you want to add some value to that.
Yeah, really. Regarding agriculture, I think there has been a kind of stereotype about this sector. You know, it has always been like a sector for sustenance, like just sustain a living, and for the poor. And so our youths are not really educated on the potential of agriculture. Or let me put it this way, the agribusiness part of it is missing in agriculture. Yeah. So the agribusiness part the business part of agriculture is missing. So I think we have to educate our youth. Personally, like me, I'm not an agriculturalist. I'm not agronomist. I'm into agribusiness. I'm into the business of agriculture. So I think because we have many business sectors, we have many business, but agriculture has not been seen or has not been introduced to our youth as as a business opportunity. When we talk about business, people think of buying and selling, people think of opening a shop, people think of doing many other businesses. So we have not really seen agriculture in the line of a business. So I think that is what is really missing in our society, like putting agriculture as part or in the line of business. So most of our youth see it as an old man's job, or a retirement, something for old people, or for just some people in the village, in the rural area, just to manage a living, like hand to mouth. And even the farmers themselves, they are missing the business part of agriculture. Even the farmers themselves, they produce agriculture either just for food or just to sell it for hand to mouth. They don't have the calculation, they don't have the maths, the calculation, the economics in the agriculture. So I think if we can help our youth to understand that agriculture is also a business potential or business opportunity, this will help them to try to see into it as an aspect of business, because business is not just opening a shop, opening a company, or something whatsoever. Agriculture is also a business. So that's why we're talking about agri business. So yeah.
And if I have to continue on that line, how do we step by step really encourage them, promote them? Because like what you said, many that I speak to, when you talk about agriculture, it were like, no, that's nothing. And like Dr. Honorable said, people sell even their lands to come to Europe, going through the Mediterranean Sea, and some die on their way, and they have sold their lands that would have been used maybe for agriculture. And if they had the possibility of technology and science to improve it, it would have been maybe a source of income, jobs, and all that. How do we, step by step, help these young people understand the value of agribusiness?
Okay, the first thing is that you don't need to be a farmer to be in agribusiness. You don't need to be a farmer. I will always say that Africa, we have enough food supply already. The problem is that most of this food is lost to either wastage or spoilage. So yeah, we have a lot of food in Africa. I mean, farmers do produce quite much, but unfortunately, during the harvest season, like the peak season, most of this food is lost in either spoilage or whatever, and they usually have dumpage when the thing is too much. So to be in agribusiness, you don't necessarily need to be a farmer. It's just talking about how to convert this opportunity into a business. So also the trainers, those who organize training for agriculturalists, or those who organize like Ministry of Agriculture or other sector that does this training, they can also help the farmer moving from just the farming aspect into the business part of it. So I think getting them aware or getting them know this kind of opportunity in agriculture is just teaching them the business part of agriculture.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. I'll take my next guest. I'm talking now to Honorable Kenneth. Honorable, tell us. She said it is a potential. The agribusiness is a potential, and so we want to find out how can we use science, technology, and innovation to improve this sector. Is that a possibility for us?
Yes, I think I agree with her. I think it was I hope Ruth was the person who spoke last. But if not, I saw something on the forum that said that what we need to do in Africa is to change the mindset, and I agree with the individual that sent that note. But to take it a step back, what can we do step by step to encourage our youth? Just like you rightly asked, I will tell you what we have done, and so that we can see whether it's effective or not. What we have done is that in collaboration with the CIM, Center for International Migration, in Germany, we have decided to go back into the communities, into the youth, especially graduates and the young undergraduates, to explain, like the last speaker said, the business of agriculture, the agro business. And once the mindset is open, then there is also a need to understand that in a chain of agriculture, you must not necessarily be the first chain on the land to be able to make money out of it. being a collector from the agro product, being a processor, being a packaging,
Yeah.
packaging services, being a distributor,
Mm-hmm.
are all the various chains of agriculture. And so I think it is lack of knowledge that
Yeah.
these opportunities exist that probably take some young ones away. So I think the first thing we do is to to run a variety of seminars and workshops on what are the potentials that one can get in agriculture. Having said that, also the issue of also capital or the issue of loan, it's always good to tell somebody, go and
Yeah.
get a piece of land, start up and the rest of them. It's always easier said than done. But when you have this, training available, and you said we can
Mm-hmm.
help you to get a loan. And to get a
Mm-hmm.
loan, no bank will give you a loan without a business case.
Plan.
We can help
Mm-hmm.
you to drop a business case. Let us know what are your potentials, what are the available opportunities in your area. So together we can set up a business plan, and not only set up a business plan, helping you, to assess the loan. And apart from
Mm-hmm.
even helping you to assess a loan, there should be also extension services, like people like our sisters who have actually experienced, who have been successful in. We have to bring them as mentors to begin to
Mm-hmm.
mentor those young ones. Not only leaving them at that, because of course we know that in every business, the first 2 3 years is always very very turbulent, and a lot of people actually they give up at that first level. So we need to have
Mm-hmm.
mentors, who followed up to say, oh, such things will happen, but if it happens, this is how you have to go about it, and the rest of them. So I think these are all the different facets we need to adopt in. Because like I said, I think the individual that wrote that said that we have manpower, we have the land, which is
Mm-hmm.
totally correct. I think the last speaker also from Kenya talked about solar, using a solar energy to, you can look at the. In fact, I heard, I'm not experienced, so I can't speak for them. But I heard that
Mm-hmm.
if you get in, maybe these are small chickens. I think I don't know what you call them, hens in agricultural language. You get them,
Mm-hmm.
that within 6 months, you could, double or triple the initial. If people know that you can do that, even in a
Mm-hmm.
small room or a small shop in the house, using your solar energy to generate light that will keep, any kind of pump you're having there 24/7 running.
Mm-hmm.
Agriculture will become more interesting. It becomes, something like, something people are looking forward, to have. Um, lastly, one of the issues we are actually taking, we have been partnering with some organizations, actually African organizations. They
Mm-hmm.
have what we call industrial hemp. Industrial hemp is a variety of Indian hemp, which is quite two different things entirely. And the industrial hemp has about 300 different agricultural potentials or end products. And with industrial hemp, which is legalized, currently legalized in Ghana, and I think Nigeria is following suit, Mozambique, other countries, and the rest of them. You can have within 6 months have two different phases of two different crop sections. That means within 1 year, you can have two harvests. And like from this simple harvest, you have a BD oil, you have a fiber cotton, that you have they have about 300 different agricultural products and end users products. And it's called a wonder crop. It's called the green revolution. And if you can introduce this kind of product to Africans, and they know that they can generate over 300 end products, and they can double that twice in a year. I'm sure that, in fact, when we finish our two first workshop, we have a lot of applications already said we are interested in this. We want to get involved in that. And so that's why making agriculture, attractive, letting people know that you can make a living out of it, and making people know that you must not. Of course, there's nothing wrong in going to the farm. I actually grew up in the farm. I can tell you different farm season, how you can, dig your hole, put your yam. We
Mm.
enjoy all that. But the agriculture is more than that. And by the time people begin to realize the potentials it offers, and I'm sure that a lot of you will be motivated to go into agriculture.
I think now you're now pulling me to that direction seriously, and I think that we really have to work on another program whereby we really have to do the training program and train the young people, because I think that it is really lack of this knowledge that it is
Mhm.
a business on its own. Like Irene was saying, it's really a business on its own, and if we see just the local traditional farming as farming, then no young person will want to do
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
why they want to sell all their farms again, all their land to come to Europe. Irene, you
Mm.
are nodding your head. Do you want to add something? If not, we are going to go to the next part of the conversation.
Well, not quite, but just to add to it that we have a chain. So the agriculture is not limited to the farm, which is of course true, and the farm also is the starting point, of course, but it's not limited to that. And getting our youth involved, we have to, like you said, organize training programs and seminars
Mm.
to educate them on the fact that agriculture is starts from the farm but doesn't end at the farm. There are value chains into agriculture, and where technology comes in, or where science comes in about preservation. After the farm, we need to keep these products safe and healthy. So I think science and technology play greater role in the preservation aspect of it, and also the packaging, because I think our packaging so far has not been very presentable. Our agricultural products, you see them in the market, they're just anyhow. So I think science and technology can also play a great role in our packaging. Yeah, thank you. And the
Thank you.
marketing, I think marketing also, the farmers, like in my organization, we have identified key problems, key challenges that farmers are going through. One of them is this lack of adequate skills. Yes, they are farmers by nature, but the skill, the sustainable farming is missing. The knowledge about sustainable farming is missing, which is why we are educating them, we are training them on this. And also the finance, like Honorable mentioned, yeah, you can educate them, you can train them, but they say they don't have capital. What can you do? So
Mm.
we try to provide them with what we call agri loan to help them take off from where we have trained them, and we receive their products and help them market it. So it's a kind of chain, and it's a win-win situation. Yeah.
Amazing job you're doing. Thank you very much. And that takes me directly to the question of STI. Do you think African countries promote science, technology, and innovation? What role does the what role can the central government play in this? Honorable, you're very involved in politics.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, that is the A and Z of all the things we have just spoken. And one of the reasons why I decided to join local communal politics in Hamburg, like is that you can only make a change when you are involved. And we
Mm-hmm.
know that the politics set the rules and the regulation. So we can
Mhm.
speak all the grammar we want. If the government are
Yeah.
not willing to set the right environment, it's still going to be
Yeah.
problem. So I think
Yeah.
the truth of the matter that our government has not been doing enough. They've
Mm-hmm.
not been doing enough, and we need to push them to do enough. And
Yeah.
why do I say that? The government set the rule. They are
Mm-hmm.
like the referees in a football match. And
Mm.
if the referee is not a professional referee, or the referee is biased, then it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be probably a problem. Like the last speaker said, one of the things most young people had experience in Africa, to the best of my knowledge, is that it is good. It is possible that you give them a loan. It is possible that you provide them, with some piece of land. If they don't have the skill, you can be sure that they are going to close up in the first 1 year. And
Yeah.
if they close up in the first 1 year, the bank will not get their money. The banks are not ready to give any loan, and the cycle continues. And so, thank God, in Nigeria they have a lot of uh, a lot of policies set up to help skill acquisition, so to say, in the areas of agriculture, in the areas of medium businesses and the rest of them. Again, we can have all these wonderful ideas, we can have all these wonderful things, as long as you do not have light, power, to generate them. Again, we are back to square one. And so the government providing the basic infrastructures is crucial. And
Yeah.
that's where the science and technology plays in. Now, let's even say we have light, and we have the skills, we've trained the youth and the rest of them. And somebody have a farm, a very, very beautiful big farm in somewhere, and he doesn't have the road to take the product from there to the village and to the next urban cities. Everything comes to, so building up a critical infrastructure. And we're not expecting for the government to create rules like we have in USA or in Germany. Just the basics, the minimum basics to take our product from A to B. The minimum basics. Of course, like we said, that's where probably solar system comes into play. That is where probably marketing, modern ways of marketing comes into play. That is where probably a group of producers like my last sister speaker, where they can get a group of big buyers that goes to the villages to buy this product of the youth and pay them directly and help them to process it. Again, these are where all the technology plays role. Processing, transportation, marketing, packaging, all wrap around technology. And that is where the government actually have a role to play.
Yes, go on, Irene.
If I'm granted
Of course,
chance.
that's why you're here. Tell us more.
Yeah, to add to that, of course, the government creates the enabling environment, which we all know, and which we also know that the government in most African countries are not playing that role. And what can we do as individuals, as citizens? Because, of course, like you already said, we can talk, we can make all the noise, but if they are not willing, they are not going to do anything, and we are not also going to do anything to them. So I would say that in Africa, generally speaking, we see that every problem is a potential business opportunity. And we have lots of problems in Africa, and I just saw one, the problems faced by farmers and youths, and that's why I engaged into helping in skills development, financing, marketing, and all of this. So every problem is a potential business opportunity. You just have to create a model on it and see how it works. Of course, we always need our government to give us the enabling environment. Our honorable made mention of relevant innovation or relevant solution. One sad thing with us is that the environment is not enabling enough for innovations, which is a part missing or should be created by the government. Okay, now we are our youth, we are trying to bring innovations into our countries, but how relevant are these innovations? That is a big question. How relevant are the innovations? Because it's not just about innovation, but they should be relevant. Like talking about we are in the digital age, but are all the digital solutions applicable in our context? Are all the digital solutions applicable in our context? Yes, again, the government is the one that's supposed to create these policies that promote development, create the enabling environment. But when we are coming up with the innovation, we should bear in mind our possibilities and if our solutions are relevant in our context. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Amazing conversation. Yes, Honorable says environment and enabling environment is very vital for science, technology, and innovation. And Irene is saying that yes, we can also be part of the solution. Every problem is a solution. And that takes me now to you both. A last question, maybe before we come to concluding question. What is the role of the diaspora in all this?
Well, I will give a very quiet example. As I speak, Nigerians in the Diaspora Organization in Europe, which I chaired, secured 2.36 billion US dollars, which is actually the biggest diaspora investment combined in the last 20 years. And what was this supposed to be meant for? Again, the question you ask is, what can the diaspora do? With this money we've secured, we intend to invest it in a housing project, which means we intend to to provide 750,000 housing in 10 years. Now, that's not just the end of it. What is the implication of this for the Nigerian youth? It means that we will be able to generate about 3 million jobs in 5 years, for instance. It means that we'll be able to train to train the youth who will learn how to do the tires. We have to train the youth who will learn how to roof. We need to train the youth who know how to do the plumbing. We need to train the youth who actually, even want to go into buying and selling of those issues that we need for them to. So you bubble the whole workforce. Now, to do this, we need to get certified professionals, train the trainers who are going to train these youths, whether it's in the areas of vocational studies, whether in the area of agroeconomics, whether in the areas of marketing and packaging. So we spread it across, though it is only targeted to housing, but it boils down to almost all the facets of the economy. And I think these are the things that the diaspora can do. I just mentioned that we are partnering with the Center for International Migration, and by God willing, by January next year, we'll commence into this agro training that we mentioned about. And because this project is a one-time project, like Vera, like how it goes here, it's a one-time project. We intend to sustain this project by partnering with companies, by trying to go to let me say the agro companies, like the ice cream company, or the refrigeration companies, or the company that builds the fridge, will say, okay, you know what, we want to train about 7, 8, 10 years in areas of making ice cream, as an example. And if they get this ice cream, they have to buy the fridges from you, which they're going to be selling in the market. So can you give us 1 or 2 fridges, so that we can use it as a program, and when they graduate, that they can begin to so we tie those companies to the fridge company, and we go around the same different companies, saying, okay, you are a marketing company, we are going to train these youth, and when these youths are trained, their first 2-3 years product will be delivered. You have a first right of refusal, so that you can help those youth to sustain their business and the rest of them. So I think that is what the diaspora can do. On the other side, bringing in the real money that we have, and most importantly, bringing in the human capital, which is actually more than every other thing we have spoken here. The brain drain we should bring it as a brain gain, so that we can begin to use whatever we have learned, how it functions. Very like in Germany, most of the rich men are farmers. Most of the big cars, most of the big companies are all farmers. So we should begin to, how did they manage to do it here? How can we transfer this knowledge down to them in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Ivory Coast? And this is what the diaspora should have to be, in my own view. In addition to the training, in addition to train the trainers, we should begin to transfer knowledge, which is most crucial for the new generation in Africa.
Amazing capacity building, know-how, taking back again, so that we reduce at least this brain drain. It is really too much. Irene, you wanted to add something. Thank you so much, Honorable Irene.
I will add to that on the fact that Africans in the diaspora, we should have a mindset shift, a paradigm shift. And there's very few Africans who are thinking like what we are thinking. I would say that because most often when we travel over the Atlantic or wherever we came from, we see that most Africans are just contented in their lives in the diaspora, especially if they have achieved one thing or the other. So they don't really see like giving back to the community or giving back to the continent a major priority. But I would like to state here that all through history, there has always been migration for economic reasons. So we are not the first groups of people to migrate for economic reasons. But one thing is different between those other migrants and us is that they try to fix the problem that made them left in the first place, so the chain doesn't continue. And this is what has been lacking in African diaspora, because I see many European history, for example, there has been a time when Greeks left their countries to America. There's been a time where the Finns left their country. There has always been a problem across the world, and people have to move from their zone of comfort to a strange place in search of what we call greener pasture, or for economic reasons. But one thing is different, like I already mentioned, between us and these other people, precisely Europeans, is that they get the problem fixed. They try to get the problem fixed so the migration chain does not continue. So that is brain drain. and that is exporting the youth out of the continent. The youth are our assets. So if we keep allowing them to leave the continent for economic purpose, we are not going to build any continent. No matter what we are trying to do here, we need the youth in the continent to build the continent. So we have to see how we can transfer this knowledge. Even the capital we have, where we have the potential to raise money at personal levels and as a group, and we can have capital. We can do transfer of knowledge and experience, and which can help build the continent. So we reduce the brain drain. That's just one thing the diaspora can do. There's nothing wrong in moving out for economic reason, but then how do we check this that the change doesn't continue?
Thank you very much. There's nothing wrong in moving out for economic reasons, but then how do we stop such things to continue? Honorable, thank you very much for joining the panel. Thank you, Irene. Our conversation today is how can modernized agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation help to achieve the aspiration one, which is like shared growth, decent jobs, and economic opportunities. You have your last word, Honorable. Tell us and encourage us.
Well, like I said at the beginning, and I will try to end with that, Africa have a very young, dynamic population. Africans are basically the best in the world, wherever they have found themselves. You are a living witness in Germany. We know all the good things you've been doing in Germany. And we have so many other Africans spread across the globe. The year of the African return is today. And our brain drain is not wasted. It's going to be turned to a brain gain. Capacity building, knowledge transfer is the year of the Africans, and I'm very, very excited and optimistic about that.
Thank you very much. Capacity building. The year of return is today. Ma'am Irene, please tell us more. Give us your last word to encourage us.
My last word is that agriculture and food is very it's a lucrative sector in the economy, because we always need food. So that's the sector that the business, the marketing research does not really consume much, because we know when doing a business plan, we have to get facts from the field, and you have to get accurate facts. So to get the marketing research on food and agriculture is quite easy, because we know that we all need food every day. So like we're asking the question of how lucrative agriculture is, just the thoughts that we eat every day, we need food every day, tells you how lucrative the business is. So I want to encourage our youth to get involved in agriculture, from the farming to the processing, the packaging, all the agricultural chain, which has also, we need the technology to do this and the science behind it, because to process or to preserve, we need technology, we need science. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Marlene, your network has also been a challenge. I hope that you have been able to follow us. Give us your last word to encourage us how we really solve this challenge. Encourage us and encourage our listeners.
Okay, thank you. So my word will be Africa is the youngest continent in the world. Most African countries, they have a median age of about 19 to 20, and Uganda is the youngest in Africa, which is at 15.1. So looking at those numbers, looking at the numbers and the age of young people we have in Africa, that's an opportunity as much as it is a threat. And for me, I think if we look at it as an opportunity, then tap and encourage young people to get into agriculture, because if that is the median age that we have, then it means we can get as much positive impact from that group as much as we can get it from the older group. So let's tap on the opportunity of the young people that are in Africa. Let's encourage them to get into agriculture and integrate agriculture and technology, and see how Africans can embrace agriculture once more, and so that we are also able to address issues like zero hunger, because Africa have the highest possibility and potential of feeding itself and even feeding other continents. So let's encourage young people to get into agriculture and integrate both. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We decided to have only 1 hour, 58 minutes for this conversation, and we know that it is not enough. That's why it's always so important to just go straight to the point, and you have been so all amazing going straight to the point. Our conversation today was on the aspiration one, and we wanted to point out how we can create decent jobs and economic opportunities for all. And the question was, how can modernize agriculture and promoting science, technology, and innovation help to achieve this goal? And we had with us Honorable Kenneth Gbandi, who said that the diaspora are already doing an amazing job and they can still do better. He took the example of this organization where he also has been the chairperson in it, and the projects that they are doing. He says that capacity building is very, very instrumental and very important for achieving this goal. And then, of course, Irene Marcaulay also mentioned the fact that agriculture is the deal, and therefore we need to learn the agribusiness to be able to make more profit and produce more jobs opportunity. And then we had Marlene Atieno, who again encourages us. There is a lot of opportunities in the agri business. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program, and we appreciate you all. Thank you very much, Honorable Kenneth. Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much, Marlene. It has been a tedious
Thank
one
you.
today with our host having a challenge with the network, yet we have not given up. Therefore, we are not giving up. This conversation will continue until we
Thank you.
achieve the Agenda 2063. God bless you
63.
all. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.